And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Change Yourself, Change the World. Just here with the homie Ahmed again. And we were getting into some pretty decent topics right before we started talking. And I just think it's a good time to start recording. And the last thing we were talking about is, well, just epidemiology. And most of us have never taken a class in it. Ahmed actually has more experience with this, and he was just telling me about his experience with the class itself. So, yeah, could like repeat what you said to me before, and you're mate you actually do have a degree in public health, right?
Yeah, I have a degree in public health sciences, and not that that necessarily means that much, since a
Yeah.
lot of my colleagues have the same degree, but they're completely um, diluted in terms of actual epidemiology and whether this classifies as a pandemic, which statistically and strictly speaking, it is not classified as a pandemic. And even the World Health Organization says this is not, we can't classify it as a pandemic. They actually had to change the definition of pandemic 10 years ago, back when the swine flu was happening, in order to even be able to call swine flu and all these things a pandemic, which with fatality rate of less than 1%, you can't really call something a pandemic. But yeah, we were talking about how kind of the just the overall level of misunderstanding people have that don't have people that don't have any sort of epidemiological understanding. And it's just it's to be expected, if you don't even have basic epidemiological understanding, like you don't know how many people die of heart disease, how many people die of flu every year, like 60,000 average every year, upwards to 80,000 every year in the US. And sometimes it's less than that. But yeah, and that's pretty normal, for every single year. But uh, when you combine all the comorbidities and when you look at some of the other charts of like excess comorbidities, you'll see that we do have uh, an excess of deaths this past year, and um, you can see the chart here that starting in April in the U.S., there has been an excess of uh, 20,000. I mean, so from 60,000, which is average right here, you can see that it just goes up, like maybe from all the way up to 20,000 more, and then falls back down to normal. And then now it's kind of been evening out. This is the total number of deaths from all causes
All right.
per
So
per week.
yeah, what I'm is looking at is the CDC actually numbers, and it's excess deaths on the CDC webpage. And yeah, well, we are, like he said, 20,000 at the peak. It was 20,000 more than average, and weekly number of deaths from all causes. So more people have died this year, I guess, than in other years averaged. And so yeah, I'm not gonna say there's no disease, but like you were saying, like they changed the definition of pandemic.
Yeah, they had to change the definition of a pandemic to because previously the definition of pandemic, for sure it wasn't less than 1% dying, um, and it um, but yeah, the I'm curious about that actually. Pandemic definition, like
Okay.
changes of this.
I mean, they changed the definitions of a bunch of things so it can fit their narrative more. And one of the definitions they've changed is was of polio. Like you contracting polio and having side effects from polio is not the same. Like, well, when they introduced the vaccine, they changed the definition of what polio really does. So they made it so narrow, and they started classifying all the other things that used to be attributed to polio. They started attributing to other diseases. So you could have a mild reaction to polio. You could have a severe reaction to polio, But if you don't have a specific little extra defined like symptoms, then they'd be like, oh, that's not polio, that's this other thing. So polio cases went down and everything else they started labeling went up. And you're like, well, what the fuck? So this is not the first time they've changed definition. They probably would not be the last time.
Yeah, I mean, etymologically, if we look at the word pandemic, pan means all, endemic means, you know, group of people. So I guess it's a pandemic, but pandemics tend to be things that kill people in the younger category, so, those aged to 20 to 45. Um, and in this case, and this is just, you know, if we go to the World Health Organization, who classifies, declassifies, I guess you might be able to Google. I have to look for the article. Um, who declassifies pandemic? The CDC removed all uses of the pandemic from his website because the virus is never actually a pandemic. So, has the pandemic been downgraded? Um, the CDC does. Oh, okay. I mean, well, I've seen the World Health Organization article here in this one. This fact check is referring only to the CDC and World Health Organization's original claims. It's not referencing. When was this article written? September 18th. I'm not sure if that was around when World Health Organization actually, published the article. I think it was in October or something when they published that. They don't consider it a pandemic anymore. But yeah, usually things that you worry about are things that kill the younger population. I mean, yeah, the younger population. But in this case, uh, if you're less than 40, you're more likely to die by car accident. And if you're less than 20, you're more likely to get struck by lightning than get the flu. And like, I don't know how less concerned you need to be, with those kind of numbers.
So peanut allergies probably kill more young people than COVID.
Oh yeah, definitely. Way more people die from peanut allergies than car accidents.
Damn.
Can you
What the
see
fuck are
peanut
we so
allergy?
allergic to peanuts? When did this happen? Like when did people's immune systems and gut biome start being so weak that peanuts started wiping them out?
Somewhere around 150 to 200 people die in the U.S. each year because of food allergies. 50 to 62 due
Anaphylaxis.
to peanut allergies. Yep.
Okay, so maybe
Well, I
not as
mean,
many.
yeah, like cause factoring in the age group, like it's more. But yeah, like the word pandemic is usually like, you considering the age group. But yeah, I mean something is definitely existent, but I mean the World Health Organization themselves also said that, how more people are being affected by the effects of lockdown than by the effects of the pandemic itself.
Right. I mean,
Especially third world nations, when they rely on the first world countries in industries that are being locked down and not.
pe- people don't see this shit, but the restaurant that gets locked down because of the potential that it might save someone's grandma, like they keep fucking saying. Like that restaurant buys vegetables from this place and from this store, and this store gets vegetables from other countries because that's how the fuck we do things here. And so without these restaurants constantly ordering all these vegetables and produce, all these other countries and all these other farms are just as fucked. No restaurants means no food is moving. No food is moving means the farmer isn't getting shit. The farmer isn't getting shit means, well, if the farms start closing down, if they can't make profits off their farms, they can't pay their mortgage. They can't pay all this other shit. They can't pay their loans that they got because these people aren't making that much money in the first place. And now you close all this shit down for a year, basically, almost. It's an insane number. And even the WHO has said lockdown should be avoided and should only be used as like in worst case scenarios, which we're not. We're not in worst case scenarios. And bringing it back to the flu, where's the flu now? Where is it? It disappeared. Like nobody's dying from the flu right now. Nobody's dying from the flu. Everybody's dying from COVID, and it's more profitable for hospitals to even say that this person died from COVID and not the flu. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't trust the test. I don't trust the medical infrastructure. I think it's all corporatized and it's all about money. At many points, it is all about money. And yeah, man, we're getting fucked from all kinds of ways and all from all sides.
Yeah, it's amazing how they incentivized hospitals in the beginning, and I think they're still doing it now, right? Like they're still giving that extra $40,000
They
if
are
you, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I think we've talked about this before. Like if you were health director, would you mislabel deaths?
absolutely. I would be trying to make all that profit for the people, for my people specifically in my hospital. Because again, this 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 fear that we have now, people aren't going to the hospitals. Now they're actually losing money because they're scared to go to the hospitals now, and that's a good thing. I think you should always kind of be wary of going to the hospital. And I think a lot of people go to the hospital for very basic shit. Like they do, they get scared. They get a cold, and then next thing you know, they're in the waiting room for like 8 hours or whatever the hell. But a lot of people don't take care of themselves, and when they do get sick, they think it's a fucking emergency or that's the only choice. But the hospitals were losing money because people stopped going, and because people stopped going, they stopped being able to charge insurance companies, and they stopped being able to charge the government, and so they need to make money somehow. The government's right now subsidizing everybody that has a flu. Like if we started a clinic and we started taking care of COVID patients, we might be rolling in bank. Even though you're not doing anything, we're gonna give them some like vitamin Z, like vitamin D. We'll give them some zinc. We'll give them some tea, and we'll get $13,000 or something. That'd be dope. Like we don't want anybody to die. We're obviously not gonna take in the worst case scenarios, but yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, it's very convoluted. Like the primary thing was the lock. So something, COVID happened, and then the primary reaction is lockdown. But there's like secondary, tertiary, and quaternary effects from that lockdown itself, and those are like the shock waves of an earthquake. The first P wave of an earthquake is, you feel it, but 10 seconds later, the S waves, those are the things that you got to really be scared about. And that's there's funny memes online where there's like a little wave crashing in onto the beach, and it's, it has a little label on it called COVID. And then
Yeah,
there's another wave right behind it, and that's the lockdown wave, where that's the wave caused by lockdown itself, of economic destruction.
economic destruction, and economic destruction brings more havoc than this disease. I can't say all diseases, but this disease specifically, it will. Why?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll go for it.
how do people not, like, I hate the word economic, because it sounds like economic is, oh, it's just money. You just think about
Just
money.
money, just
You're
money.
just, okay, then I want you to live one day without money.
Yeah. Don't pay anybody. Don't spend anything. Don't
Don't ask for welfare.
don't ask
Don't,
for welfare. Like, don't use money for any of the things. It's impossible. The society is embedded with money. So
yeah, like,
economic just makes it seem so
very,
far
very few
away,
people could actually do that. Like, there's some people that could do that. They could actually live off the fat of the land. They could go to the
off the grid.
mountains.
Yeah.
They could build a little tent.
Yeah.
They can do that. But that's quite a struggle that I'm pretty sure almost 100% of people would not be able to do.
Yeah.
And
Like 99% of us probably can't do all that stuff.
yeah, unless they
And
really wanted to prove me wrong, then they could do it.
but then even then they'll probably get some training and start doing this other stuff. So they wouldn't be part of the 99% at that point.
Yeah.
So
Would
like what were you gonna say? Like I want to take it back to the economic part.
Yeah, like like someone that says that the economic part isn't important. I hate the word economic because when we say this, which is a pretty standard argument, that the economic destruction caused by the lockdown is far outweighs the the whatever benefits, including saving grandma, saving healthcare efforts. Even though places like Sweden and things like that have shown us otherwise, that they do just fine without masks, even actually way better than
Yeah.
people with lockdowns.
And it's funny that they then go, oh my gosh, but Sweden's having all these new cases and all these new things. Yeah, we're having the same things over here. And we're having it way worse than they are. And we're under lockdowns and mask mandates and all this other bullshit.
Yeah.
But
The other word I hate is cases. There's
yeah,
like a list of words I hate. Economic, saving the economy. I hate that term. Social distancing. I hate that term.
yeah, it's
Um,
dumb. These
what
are
other
all
terms make me vomit?
these are all brainwashed terms.
Comorbidity. That makes me vomit too. Like, um,
It- Here's the thing though, look, how many grandmas are actually affected? Let's count all those up. Let's tally all those up. And even in that age population, there's still there's 99% plus chance of survival. Whether they have like adverse effects from it, whether it makes their conditions worse, that's another issue. Survivability, over 99%. Businesses shutting down, small businesses shutting down, all those people they were employing, all those people they were feeding, all those people they're helping pay the rent for, they're all gone. What, you want all of them to just straight up just start asking from the government for some money? It's unfeasible. There's no way they're going to be able to survive without their business, because this is what a lot of people's lives were built upon. And now you want them to give that up because of this potential imaginary fucking scenario where you save a grandma. Well, what about the vaccines right now killing grandmas? And we're not going to see them right now, but like in a week or so, we're going to start noticing that some grandmas are going out with the vaccine. And even on the news, they've said, well, if we start seeing these people in retirement homes dying because of the vaccine or dying, well, it doesn't have to be the vaccine. Dead people in retirement homes die all the time. A few months ago, they were fucking tripping out. And yeah, they're like COVID did destroy retirement homes when they were like filled with sick people. You should quarantine sick people. You shouldn't be out and about if you're fucking sick. This is always the case. For whatever disease you have, you should stay home, rest, and stop being an infectious fuck. That's basically it. But now, like, you kill more families than you save grandma. So you can take your grandma fucking excuse and shove it up your ass because it doesn't fucking make sense. We're gonna have homelessness rise. We're gonna have starving kids. I care more about starving kids than I do about grandmas. I straight up. Our younger generation is more important than our leaving generation. I'm sorry. Let's pay respect to our elders,
well,
but
I think the whole grandma thing. Uh, it's like trying to run away from the boogeyman.
yeah,
You're trying to avoid something that's already started. You're trying to slow down something that's beyond the point of being able to be slowed down. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like I thought it was 2 weeks to slow the curve, not 2 weeks to magically poof away a flu. There's new flu strains every single year. That's why you have the flu shot. Why do you think we have the flu shot every year? Um, or why
to
why do
make
they?
money and bullshit. That's what I
Well,
think
that
though.
too, but why do you think they've produced a flu shot? Theoretically speaking, they've produced it in order to inoculate people, to help their immune systems supposedly, and to give them, those weak strains of the virus, injected with some chemicals, of course, and to help your body just build those antibodies. Um, but yeah, we've had that every single year, and do you think that it's gonna magically just go away? People are gonna not be infectious anymore, like all at once? Well, in that case, yeah, people do have this. People do have arguments. I've read the arguments on the side of the people that are super statist. Like, oh, it would be better if we were like China, and we
No,
could just completely stifle everybody and force everybody to stay home. Take everyone's rights away. That's a really powerful action that you're giving up to people for the reason of safety. And there's tons. there's tons of things that there's tons of good quotes, of saying all along the same lines that he who would sacrifice their freedom for safety or health, doesn't deserve it.
Deserves none of them. And to those people who actually think we should be like China, move to China, motherfucker. Move there. Go live over there. They don't give a fuck about white people. They take your money and that's it. Like I don't know what the hell kind of idea you guys have, but
Yeah. Same thing with BLM and all this other
yeah, you
psyop
want to go live in this
garbage.
imaginary bullshit fucking scenario? All right, go build it somewhere. I really don't care. Go make your fucking autonomous zones. I know that's not BLM, but still, like, move somewhere else. Why should we be forced to adapt to your ideologies and lifestyles? Why can't you just go somewhere that already has those and get fucked over? Because that's what's gonna happen when you go to China. You're gonna get fucked over. How many companies have been ripped off by China? All of them. All the companies have been ripped off by China, man. It's like it's just a public policy to rip foreigners off. And by ripping people off, they can be stealing, or it can be literally taking your product, making knockoffs, and then buying your company out, which has happened. Which has happened. So let's get real, people. Um, that status shit, it's not gonna work, especially here in America where we have guns. And I applaud the founders for like being able to make it a right to have a gun, like make it a right for you to protect yourself and defend what you think is right, even if it's wrong. Like just having the ability for you to provide your own defense and go against fucking status tyranny. That's great. I commend them. I commend those racist white men. Yes, good job.
Yeah, I mean, people act like they're immortals in the first place. Like we all have a pretty short lifespan,
Yeah.
and hiding away from the boogeyman is only making your lifespan actually shorter because you're actually wasting that life. Um, yeah, just like a month into the lockdown, I already, there were already articles coming out saying that we've actually already lost more lifetime than we would have actually saved by, doing this lockdown. Because people have to stay away from work. There's economic catching up to do, and the on average, the people that are dying, the elderly, they have so and so many years. So taking that slice of time that was um, that was robbed from the lower class from by forcing them, quarantining them, forcing them to give up their jobs, forcing them to destroy their careers and everything, all that, that sets them back quite a bit. And comparing that slice of that chunk of time to the other chunk of time that was saved by some supposedly saved by keeping the elderly at home. I mean, keeping the elderly at home, and not having these vectors of infection going out, and statistically thus not having the elderly be infected, and thus not dying. Instead of
Yeah.
just letting nature, this isn't like a 50% fatality, illness. This is like
And even
1%. Huh?
oh, well, yeah, well, death is 100%, but this virus is not 50%.
Yeah, like it's so hard to calculate this. It's just like randomly throwing darts at a
Yeah.
board, like trying to save that slice of time by throwing away a way bigger chunk of time. Because life is what? Life is just a chunk of time. Life is impermanent, you
Yeah,
know.
it's energy, and we run out of energy one day.
Yeah, and then, whether you're throwing away life in this way or you're throwing life away in the other way, you're throwing away life no matter what. You have to throw away life. You have to sacrifice life. We're actually sacrificing life talking to you right now.
Right?
You're actually sacrificing life listening to us right now.
Thank
We
you.
have to be conscious of how we're using that energy every single moment, and um and prioritize, and use that to bring better order. And yeah, and I think that that's a good segue into the next thing I want to talk about, actually. Like, we're this whole conjunction, and the the planets of that represent order and time. they're actually coming closer to us right now. These giant planets, that have this magnetic resonance, according to astrology, of and also other societies that have grown, over time. They say that these planets represent time and um, time and order. Saturn and Jupiter, and there's the Roman gods are based on that too. I forget who the god of Jupiter is um,
Uh,
in Roman mythology.
God of Jupiter? Isn't
Jupiter,
Jupiter
sky
the god of
father.
Jupiter?
Oh, Jove
Jove.
is the god of sky and ancient Roman religion. Okay, cool. But yeah, anyways, so with these planets, coming closer, the cool thing is, now we're going to have a lot more of this kind of order and mastery over time. So now is really the time to be kind of more conscious of these kind of things and bring, I feel like I don't know if it's just coincidence or not, but oh, here it is. Zeus is the Greek equivalent.
Okay, so yeah, it's Jupiter is Zeus. I was gonna say Zeus, but I was like, it's not Roman. But yeah,
Oh, wow.
interesting.
But yeah, like this is a great time to for self improvement and getting towards your goals and things like that. Um, there's also like some crazy solar things coming up as well in line with this. But yeah, it's this whole new world order, new normal order. Like it's all related to this thing too. Supposedly, like they're using these. I don't know if they're using it or if it's synchronistically happening, but you know, the world is aligning itself into a new world order, and I think we should all use that energy rather than just let the energy be using us, or let the government just be doing that to us. We should try to make use of it. And some people are doing some awesome stuff, like going off grid and improving how independent they are from the rest of the uh, infrastructure and technocracy. Definitely admirable things. Um,
Yeah, we talked a lot about trying to do that and going towards that. Me less in the homesteading one and trying to create a community. But yeah, I think now it is time to start creating a community. And our last podcast had quite a few listens, and yeah, again, let's start doing something. Let's buy a big piece of land somewhere. Yeah, man, we definitely need to start becoming more self-sufficient. I think that's the key for many things is us becoming more self-sufficient. But taking it back to the Great Conjunction in and of itself, I mean, even if you're completely logic based and have no spiritual sense at all, you have to admit that planetary objects, if like, are having a gravitational pull towards them. The moon affects the water in our bodies. These fucking massive planets getting a little bit closer is gonna affect us. Aligning a certain way is gonna affect us in some certain way or another, some certain form or another. So yeah, start tuning up your spiritual fucking weapons. Oh, not weapons, but your spiritual tools. Cause I think they're only gonna become more useful. Isn't it supposed to be the real age of Aquarius? Aren't we supposed to be at the end of one of the Kali Yuga? And if you don't know what the Kali Yuga is, it's we're basically in this age of darkness. Our Earth goes through cycles. Every couple of thousands of years, it switches cycles, and this the age we're in is called Kali Yuga. And this Kali Yuga is an age where money, pride, all these things we hold to value in society right now, those are prominent in Kali Yuga. They're not. It's not spirituality or becoming enlightened or actually reaching higher states. No, it's these very very temporary, very very material like objectives we have for life. Oh, get a job, get a degree, get a this, do this, go over here, buy a house, have kids, die. Like, what the fuck? You literally live the kind of, I don't want to say this useless life, but you live the meaningless life. What meaning did your life have? I get the point that life is meant to be enjoyed in whatever which way you can, and not everyone is meant to be the leader or the change or whatever. Most people aren't meant to have regular basic lives. But you personally listening right now, do you want to have a regular basic meaningless life? And I say meaningless not in you to make a big impact in you and your community. I just where, where does it take you? What's next? Like all the stuff you did is gonna end and is gonna stop. There's no progression towards the next realm. And a lot of people probably believe in heaven and so on and so forth. But the way you're acting right now, are you sure you're gonna get into heaven? I don't think most of us would make the cut, to be honest. I I don't like not to the heaven that they have in the Christian Catholic fucking Bibles. And a lot of people who are supposedly spiritual are very bitter, like very, how would I put this? They use the religion as like a what did Sadhguru say, like an insurance card.
Hmm.
Like they go to mass once a week, they do this little thing, they're kind of there but they're not really involved, they're not monks, they're not really even meditating to try to like reach God or like let the source come
They're
in or whatever.
they're what is it? What's that one phrase? Praying in a foxhole thing.
Oh yeah, well yeah, everyone's spiritual in a foxhole, everyone's religious in a foxhole. Yeah, well, if you know what a foxhole is, the foxhole is like the hole you dig when the mortar shells and the machine gun fire and the sniper fire is firing all above. So in chaos, okay, you go back to your God, which makes sense. They're like a lot of times we do need chaos to make us realize, okay, I can't control this. I am not in control of my world. I am
Yeah,
not the
and
controller.
chaos. Speaking of that, that's Kali Yuga. That's what it is. You know, have you seen these prophesied events before?
Yeah,
This you saw this list already?
I've seen a
I
few
read this
little
list a while
videos
back,
of
and I'm
them.
just like,
Oh
wow.
my God.
You know, maximum age of humans will be 50 years by the end of the Kali Yuga. Many fake ideologies are spread throughout the world. Powerful people will dominate the poor
Let,
people.
let's go through this, man, because I think this is a very good thing to bring up. So, prophesized events. As we're reading the Wikipedia of this, so if you guys want to check it out, it's referencing the Mahabharata, and just type in
Actually,
Kali Yuga.
read from here. This is every one of these words is just like interesting. Like the Kurukshetra war and the decimation of the Kauravas happened in the Yogasandi, the point of transition from one yuga to another.
Right,
The scriptures mention Narada as having momentarily intercepted the demon Kali on his way to the earth when Duryodhana was about to be born in order to make him an embodiment of the Arishadvargas and the Adharma in preparation of the era of decay in values and the consequent havoc.
right.
So they're
So,
like basically like getting ready for the Antichrist.
yeah,
That's what they're doing right now. That's what this Kali Yuga is, getting ready for the Antichrist. I mean, this aligns with the whole biblical things too.
yeah. I'm pretty sure the floods and all these other things happen right in that age. So let's keep reading. So a discourse by and a lot of these things we're reading are just names of people, events, and these kinds of things. So don't get too discouraged. They're literally just names. So a discourse by Markandeya and the Mahabharata identifies some of the attributes of the Kali Yuga. In relation to rulers, it lists rulers will become unreasonable. They will levy taxes unfairly. What's your taxes right now, people? A shit ton. What was your taxes back maybe 500 years ago? Probably less. Probably
Yeah,
less.
but it's gonna be even worse though. Like,
Right.
I don't see any other way for California. Like, there
California
was an
is
interesting Timcast
fucked.
video today. Like, all the wealthy leaving California, and then they're pushing this bill here in California where if you stayed in California for more than 60 days in a year, and whether you're a businessman or a traveler or anyone, And then in anywhere in the US, you
So
stayed
dumb.
for vacation,
So
if
dumb.
you even go to school here,
So dumb.
you're gonna get like taxed for the next 10 years by
So dumb.
California.
So dumb.
Who's gonna want to come to California? Like,
Yeah,
forget the
for
fact that
California.
there's less and less people in California now every year.
There's
Who's people are gonna just I mean, we have the infrastructure, we have beautiful coastlines, we have
do.
SF, LA,
We do.
but
There's the potential is amazing, and there's lots of things that came from California, and we are an economic powerhouse. But now all those economic powerhouses are leaving. Why? Because they're getting taxed out of existence. You can't just keep taxing people and expect them to go, okay, I'll just pay the taxes. No, these motherfuckers can move. What are you, stupid? They can easily move and set up operations somewhere else. It'll be cheaper
I
for
just
them.
wonder what it'll be like though, because California does produce 50% of the produce
Yeah,
for
but those are
most of
low
the
wage workers, and we're replacing the people that are leaving with migrant workers, right? And immigrants, to be honest. So everybody who had valuable skills and businesses and all these things, they're leaving the state. But we're getting an influx of, or we're always getting an influx of immigrants and other people who are, let's just say, less skilled laborers. They don't have the same skills. Like, not everybody coming here is a computer programmer or is able to manage a business or all. I'm just,
I don't know though. A lot of people do make a lot of money and then they do blow a lot of it on their vacations, and I don't think they'll even notice, coming to California and.
well, but that's beside the point. That's a vacation thing, and
I
there's
don't
no
know.
incentives for businesses to start in California.
There needs to be definitely.
There are none right now. They're only going to raise taxes more. They're only going to make property taxes higher. They're raising all kinds of taxes. So I think California is one of the most heavily taxed places in the world. In the world, people
Yeah,
realize
yeah.
this,
California has the same taxes as communist China.
which is fucked,
Actually, more if you factor in cost of living and all that stuff.
which is extremely fucked because the California is expensive as shit. It's like New York expensive, which is ridiculous. But I
Yeah.
guess we have more space here, so it's a little bit different
Yeah.
story.
You can fact check all that, by the way. Just Google California tax, compared to China. But yeah, let's go to the next one here. These are
Yeah,
really
next
deep.
one. Rulers will no longer see it as their duty to promote spirituality or to protect their subjects. They will become a danger to the world, and this is true. Um,
Rulers are no longer seen as their duty to promote spirituality
right,
or protect their subject. That's what their duty is. That's what rulers, politicians, their duty is to make us more spiritual, make us more connected. Spiritual means self-improvement, make us more connected to
right,
our heart and dreams,
right.
and protect us.
Yes,
But what are they doing now? They're like doing
they're fucking
the
us
exact
over.
opposite.
They're
They have
fucking
strip
us
clubs
over.
open, but church is closed. They have um
Strip clubs are
they're
opening,
releasing
bro.
they're and then conversely, protect their subject. They're releasing the prisoners
Prisoners,
and quarantining
healthy
people.
people. Yeah, healthy people, and not allowing business to operate. They're not protecting us at all anymore, man.
They're letting people burn and loot. Right? Like it's
Right.
completely the opposite. Like this is
Yeah,
every one of these is like so completely true. We are in the Kali Yuga.
yeah, and that man, yeah, the spirituality part. You were talking about self improvement and everything, but a leader should want their people to do the best and be the best and not overcome, but well, an enlightened leader would want other people to become enlightened as well. They don't want to keep their people down. They don't want to dumb them down. They want them to be at a higher level so that they can then help their communities even more. You don't want a bunch of angry, poor, uneducated people. Why? Because you can't produce very much with them. You can't make society better. You can't make the environment better. You can't make anything better when you have angry, uninformed, or malinformed and poor people. It doesn't work. You can't make a society out of this. You really can't. It has been tried and they have all failed. Like when you remove the educated and the people who are actually making everything move, when you remove them, nothing but famine comes next. And this is basically all the socialist agendas that I'm referring to. So yeah, I think the spiritual aspect is something great, and in this point, at this point, even like Christian spirituality, I think is very much needed because people need to have a sense of community. People need to have some other like you your spiritual practice can be enhanced with other people around you with the same intentions and goals and the same like prayers and the same kind of thing. Like there is a resonance energy that you can get from it. So I think we've been led down some very, very dark paths right now. And we're at the end of this yuga, though. So it's just good. We were born at the end of this yuga. I don't think it's going to end 2020. I think the number I heard before was 2070, but who the hell knows with these numbers and these calendars that constantly fucking get moved around according to other prophecies. So yeah, let's go to the third one. At the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residencies of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher varnas, guna or temperament, I don't know what that means, temperament, and when nothing is known of the techniques or of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as a supreme chastiser. Well, this comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting. So he's
when,
saying that like when when people don't have any more spirituality left,
right,
when people forgot everything about spirituality, even those people that are like really respectable and virtuous in the society of the, higher temperaments, these varunas, they're basically three different characterizations. Like, in the original Sanskrit, they were referring to the higher social classes like the Brahmins and things.
the priests
Um,
and the scholars, and yeah.
mm. and so
So
even when those people don't know anything about God and no one has it, every science is God.
science is God, and this is happening
Then
in liberal universities right now.
yeah, but like this is when it's complete, and they probably like just, you know, uh,
How many people are actually talking about spirituality and God in their homes? Like, I mean, I really don't do it at home either, but we
I guess
still
it's
have
gonna
talked
happen
about
when
these things.
at that time the Lord will appear as supreme chastiser. I guess even you and me when we're done, because the Kali Yuga, I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but
I,
I think
I,
I think it's gonna finish by the time we're done. So I don't know.
I
According to these
yeah.
things,
Well, the number I'm reaching for, and like I want to live to see this age, is 2072.
yeah.
Again, the numbers can be off a couple years because of translations and the way we change our calendar, we move days around is kind of fucked. Like we don't have a specific way. We kind of just it's more convenient for us to do it this way, to have a certain number here or to move days over here to change things. We've changed our calendar around so much, but 2072 is the number I'm kind of looking for. So I hope we don't. I hope this reality isn't the reality until 2072. That would be fucked. I don't. A lot of us might just prefer to move on to the next
I don't
level.
think it'll be that soon. I think it'll be hundreds of years later
No,
because
I
it's going
think
to take a while for them to completely
it's 20.
indoctrinate away all the institutions. I mean, they're already doing it now. They're already like
They have
there was this interesting video by Corbett Report where even archive.org, which is supposed to be like the maintainer of all these, all the facts and stuff, history,
right.
historical sites and stuff, the Tuskegee experiment, they're actually fact checking that from the past. So
How do
they're
you do that? How do you
they
fact check some facts from the past?
like so when people go to that site and stuff, they're just gonna have some sort of analytical thing on there, and saying that, oh, actually this wasn't an accident by the government. This wasn't bad. This vaccine, um, the minorities and
Oh, they didn't really give syphilis to all these people. They were just trying to help these people who already had syphilis. I don't know what the hell the fact check might be. I don't know, but
yeah. Oh, there's actually this percentage of people that blah blah blah.
well,
I don't really
the
get it anyways.
the 2072 is a number I'm saying. I said maybe that's the number I'm going for. Is because Sadhguru was talking about the yugas and the time
Mhm.
spans they cover, and I literally I really do think that the Hindus and that area has a extremely ancient civilization. I mean, when the barbarians were Europe was a bunch of goddamn barbarians, Indians were having amazing civilizations. So I trust their history more than I trust European history, to be honest, because Europe basically just came out of the Dark Ages. Like they were fucking savages for a minute until they started organizing and get bigger, and then it became even bigger savages and they were able to expand and all this other kind of things. But yeah, I just hope we
Yeah.
don't fucking deal with all this nonsense until that time.
I think you might be right then. That yeah, that does make sense because it's so rapid. The reason I mentioned the archive.org is it's just happening so fast. It could be sooner than 2072. Like so much distant, like so they're the elderly are dying, and then the younger people are being completely indoctrinated with the technocratic institutions, and it's just so perfect brainwash, and
Maximum age of humans would be 50 years. Okay, we'll get to that one. But let's with regard to human relationships, Markandaya's discourse says, avarice and wrath will be common. Humans will openly display animosity towards each other. Ignorance of dharma will occur. Yeah, dude, we are literally. How many people have been yelled at? I haven't been yelled at for not wearing a mask because I don't really go out that much because I never really going out that much. I'm more of a I chill at home and go to the beach sometimes. That's kind of what I do. But you see a bunch of people yelling at other people for not wearing masks. There's just animosity for a simple face diaper. The face diaper, you're not wearing a face diaper, causes animosity in many places, which is fucking you wearing it causes animosity. You not wearing it causes animosity. So Twitter is nothing but animosity. It's just anger directed at people constantly. Very few productive conversations on Twitter, but I'm pretty sure there are some. Avarice and wrath, we're a bunch of angry people, dude. Like we're very triggered very easily. We need more meditation. We need more focus. We need more clarity. We need more a lot of things. Ignorance of dharma will occur. Dharma are teachings. So yeah, how many people actually follow any kind of teachings and morals and that kind of stuff? Not many people. Most people are ignorant of any dharma, including the so-called religious people. I think they're ignorant of dharma as well. All right, what's next? Religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, physical strength, and memory will diminish with each passing day. Ooh. I mean, we can make turn anything into anything, but yeah, tolerance, mercy, physical strength, and memory will diminish with each passing day. I think so, bro. The more angry we are, the less we care about other things because we just get triggered and we can't even focus on anything because we carry that anger in our head.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to pause on each of these. I mean, we know all these are true. This is easily true. I mean, we have the toxins in the environment, and you know, we know. Like most of the audience, if they're listening this long, everything in this list probably makes sense to them.
Yeah.
People will have thoughts of murder with no justification and will see nothing wrong with that. Uh, okay, maybe that one's a little wow.
I
But
honestly, I think this is true because how many times have we seen
oh, actually,
people
yeah,
get
yeah,
run over or get shot and be
yeah.
like,
The
well, that
leftists,
motherfucker
they're going,
deserved it or that did this and like
yeah.
whatever the case may be, we're okay with murder now if it benefits us, if it suits our paradigm. Like many times, there's like you see a policeman run over someone who's protesting, and one part of the people say, "Fuck yeah, man, run that guy over. What was he doing? He was being a dumbass." And
Yeah.
partially that'd be
People are
true,
becoming extremely divided ideologically, and
right?
like in the anti-maskers, you've probably seen the video where like, why don't you just die? You
Yeah,
know, like the nurse who's wearing a mask, you know, yelling at the person not wearing a mask. The nurse
yeah,
who's wearing a mask yelling at the person yelling, why don't you just die? Like telling him to just die. Like the ideological like
divide.
ignorance and things like that, like not understanding both sides of the view and not willing to investigate the other points of view, like has torn me from some of the people that I thought were pretty intelligent friends from high school and college. The people I thought would actually try to look into, the whole perspective, the conspiracy perspective that, this is a psyop. They didn't even look into it, it's pretty pathetic, and
They they don't have questions. They don't question shit. They don't question their own fucking conclusions. Like, I question my conclusions all the time. And if I find new information, I update my conclusions. This is what you're supposed to do. But no, most people are set on their single fucking set thing, and this is what I've been told, or this is what I actually, this is the only truth that I can actually believe because nothing else makes sense in my world. And well, that's on you, man. A lot of these people don't even know what the Federal Reserve is.
taking news from just one fountain and thinking that's it.
Yeah. Or
Everything on it's not true unless it's on the TV.
and then there's illusions of like different fountains. No, man, they're all paid by the same group of people. They're all owned by the same little conglomerate of fucking companies. Like, it, you really do have to extend your realm of doubt into all possibilities and apply all those possibilities into what reality is, because you don't know absolute truth. None of us do, unless you're an enlightened being. Then I'll give you credit. Sure, okay, you can know absolute truth. The rest of us are ignorant fucks, and we have to have multiple views. We have to have multiple ways of looking at things so we can come with a rational like conclusion. Like, if you're sick, don't go out and spread it like an asshole. I get that. Sick people wearing a mask, I get that. Healthy people wearing a mask, don't get that. That doesn't make sense. Oh, it's science. No, it's not. There's science proven against it, and there are a few things that might go for it, but it's not really science like you think it is. It's not your God. Science is never absolute. Science is never an absolute, and I think people keep forgetting this. But yeah, let's keep going on these. These are great. Lust will be viewed as socially acceptable, and sexual intercourse will be seen as a central requirement of life. Fuck, man, that's most young people's lives, though. Literally, I mean, that was a big part of my life for like a few years. I went through that same phase.
Yeah, but I think you just gotta do a little bit of semen retention and nofap research and knowledge. Kids these days, I feel bad for them because they just brainwashed super hard with that um, porn, pornographic stuff. And even if it's just not porn, it's just
Even
everything
if
is
it's
just
porn,
pornographic. Like
yeah, like you watching animes. Let's be real. Anime is a million percent sexually explicit. Like, there's so many suggested things in anime, and you have to kind of be aware that all these things are triggers.
those ads are crazy, dude.
Those ads are literally almost porn ads and shit.
No, there's some straight up porn ads that
They're
come. I
straight
have
up
to I
porn
have to
ads.
turn on the ad blocker.
I have tons of ad blockers, so I don't worry about ads and shit. But yeah,
Yeah, the storyline is great, but even yeah, this sentence, like you have to think about this from the perspective of one inclined towards enlightenment, and this is like the monastic people. So this
right.
sentence isn't just seen in the sentence from our worldly life. Last one we give you the socially acceptable and sexual intercourse we've seen essential. A lot of these Hindu people, they were brahmacharyas, where they singularly focused on collecting their sexual energies in order to transform it completely into enlightenment. And that's not possible if you have any iota of interest in the opposite gender. So not just sexual intercourse. I'm talking about just basic, even a thought of like horniness and things like that. Like when they see women, they just kind of pass by them, just like you would pass by them as another human being, as another being. They don't really, their minds are not caught in the mind of division no more. So they're in a totally different mindset. So there's not going to be any of the, most people are not going to be like when I was younger, I had those kind of moments, and that's when I would have a lot more, lucid dreams, and I was more clear, and I was able to focus on so many different things in the, um, I mean, I was still thinking of like, the opposite gender more, but, because of the hormones and things, but, um, it was, there were times, like where it would be less racy. So, I would be able to focus a lot more on the improvement aspects of life and working towards my goals at that point. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I'll second that, dude. And then this is more of a recent thing for me. Like, I see how much energy is given to that. And right now, even every time a lustful thought does come up, no matter how, I have a great fucking imagination, but no matter how great it might be, I let it, I'll let that shit go. I smile, I'll go, man, and then I let it go because it's not gonna be helpful for me. Me
yeah,
creating these realms and doing all these things and expending the energy to do all that stuff is not gonna benefit me at all. It's a temporary enjoyment of the senses, but it's not gonna benefit me in a physical way or like a spiritual way. So I'm letting these things go. I'm learning how to rein back that lust. I mean, at any point in time, I can turn it on. You can always turn it on, but learning how not to react every time, learning how to let those things go is, yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So what's the next one? Sin will increase exponentially while virtue will fade and cease to flourish. Yeah, we're all sinful as hell in many ways.
yeah. Sin is like taken as a broad definition.
Yeah.
Sin in the Jesuit and the Christian definition, sin actually means when you're off the mark. So like when you shoot an arrow, they would say, you know, and you shoot the arrow, and if it was off the mark, they would say sin, blah blah. So sin actually is just a really general term when you're just not perfectly focused, when you're outside of samadhi, actually. So these things, they have like extremely high standards, but yeah, they're actually pointing it out to that like, so they have extremely high standards, but they're saying that like it'll expand exponentially, and it'll be, you know, avarice and wrath will become common. And so they're taking this point of view from like this really pure perspective, and seeing that there's just people are completely on the flip side. So it's quite a statement that they're not saying it's just, you know, there's going to be sin. They're saying it's going to be like exponential, and virtue is going to.
Exponential increase in sin. And yeah, man, like more 70% of the internet is porn. That's tons of sins right there. I'm not saying, oh, well, there's really, can you count that as a sin? I think you can, but a lot of people still don't view that as bad. So I don't know if they would count it as a sin. That's what I'm trying to get to. It's very subjective when you say that, but it's not beneficial. Even if you include the benefits of actual
Well,
orgasm
that's
and
pretty much what sin is, you know, like something that's just not beneficial. Like
mm,
if, if that, you know, yeah,
yeah, well,
that's something that's just not like wholly, like I don't know how to pronounce that word, but wholly or wholly beneficial. Like, you know, like there might be some parts
holy,
beneficial, but wholly is not beneficial.
yeah, holy. So people become addicted to intoxicating drinks and drugs. I mean, they're essential businesses now. Liquor stores and weed shops and even some strip clubs in Cali are fucking essential businesses now, and they have some of their own kind of COVID restrictions. And how the hell do you get a lap dance with social distancing is beyond me, but that's real. That's there. So yeah, man, people are becoming more and more addicted. Why do we become addicted? And many times I think it's because we're missing something. A lot of people use God to get off addictions. A lot of people use meditation to get off addictions, but a lot we're trying to fill up a void with drinks and drugs, and this includes weed. For the most part, most people don't use weed as a the medicine it can be, or the experiences it can lead to, or the revelations they can have. They use it as a way to pacify themselves and to feel good, to feel chill, to kind of just tune out the day, similar to as how you would use a drink. And addiction is addiction. It could be, you could say it's beneficial for you, but it's still an addiction. If you can't do it by yourself, you're still addicted. You're still gonna want to do it with that thing, with that substance. And yeah, I was addicted to all that stuff like very recently until I was just like, man, I gotta clean up all my acts. And I decided to clean up all my acts at the same time, which is, I guess, a lot of people can't do. But I don't know, man. I'm on the second day of my 3 day fast, so I think I don't care what other people can do. Like that's not a part. That's not me. But yeah, addictions and drugs and drinks, just
Yeah, lockdowns is making it worse too. You know, a lot of
true.
people aren't even going out. Most people are actually staying indoors. What are they doing? Most likely, whatever they can to feel good. And a lot of people don't have their own built-in mechanisms to feel good, like meditation and
Right.
hobbies and things like that. Their only way of feeling good was ever going to the bar and hanging out with people
Hanging out with people, the social
every day.
interactions. Yeah. And the
And so
drinking, the
that's just
stealing.
been replaced by going to the bar in their kitchen. And that has no control mechanism a lot of times, because the control mechanism before it was their friends, you know, the social cues and indicators that would prevent them there. You know, like their friends telling them that they've had enough for the night. Um, but
Yeah.
now they're just, drinking themselves to death a lot of times. And suicide calls have increased for 1,000%. But yeah, definitely, this is all. I think all of these are 100% believable. Um, yeah, I haven't found anything undoubtable right now.
Let's check the next one. Gurus will no longer be respected and their students will attempt to injure them. Their teachings will be insulted and followers of Kama will wrest control of the mind from all human beings. Who's Kama? Kama means desire, wish, longing. Often connotes sexual desire, longing in contemporary literature. But the concept more broadly refers to any desire, wish, passion, longing, pleasure of the senses, desire for longing, and to and after the aesthetic enjoyment of life. So they're not. So it's basically the five sense in like paradigm that most people live in, the five sense world that most people live in.
Yeah,
So
Kama Sutra, that's what it's referring to. Yeah, that's kind of kind of makes sense. I mean, I can also see this very much
respected.
happening.
Yeah, for a most part, I can see the second part being. I'm not too sure about the first part of not being respected, but I
I
think
think
most
this the
gurus aren't
first
respected at all right now. So
yeah, the first part is very incidental. They're not
yeah,
doing it intentionally, like
yeah,
because there's an abundance of gurus now.
yeah.
So people and a lot of people are in kind of like my guru, he always explained that this century is going to be the century of the psychological disorders. Mental illnesses are going to be like skyrocketing um, in this
Makes
era,
sense.
and a lot of those mental disorders are narcissism and um, schizophrenic illnesses that cause you to kind of have like psychopathic tendencies or sociopathic tendencies, and like such as respecting people is not going to be a part of that. So, you know,
But if we replace gurus with well, I guess gurus would be spiritual inclined, but intellectuals like right now in this country itself, like there's a not a war, but there's constant
censorship.
battles against opinions of other kinds. So like people on the quote unquote far right, like Ben Shapiro or like anybody from PragerU, anybody that like the Freedom America, I forgot the little group that they make where they have a bunch of people who don't have liberal views, and right now they're getting literally assaulted and threatened and all these
Mhm.
things. So yeah, if we don't take it in the spiritual way, with just intellectual, the people who have smart people who have different kinds of opinions, they have been attempted to injure them. And I'm pretty sure students have hurt their teachers. But when it comes to the followers of Kama, will wrest
Yeah, and like
control
the
of the
thing is,
mind of
like
all
a
humans.
lot of a lot of gurus, they'll challenge the student.
Right.
How do you think people deal with people challenging them nowadays?
Horribly. They've been
People don't
raised
like
by
being
helicopter
challenged.
parents. They've been raised by parents who put their kids above them and give them everything they want. And that's a horrible way to raise your kid. You should never
A
give
lot of
them
times, like
all.
a guru needs to kind of deck their student,
Yeah,
like kind of.
yeah.
There's a one Zen master, the one of the patriarchs. Oh man, it's a really good story. I'm not gonna give the punchline, but one of the towards the end of the story, he hits his student, you know,
Yeah,
and that's what caused him to get enlightened.
yeah. Like
It was a really good story. I've got to share this.
there are certain practices that you can't even do in India anymore because they become human rights abuse that other ancient like spiritual people used to do so that they can overcome that and become more than what they are, become
Yeah,
enlightened.
like a student, I mean, a teacher, um, targeting an insult at the core of the ego can help to dismantle the ego a lot of times and help the student like, holy shit, like laugh at themselves and laugh, the student can transcend the blockages that they're creating. And nowadays you can't do that because people are so wrapped up in their ideals and their egos that if you try to do that, they'll freaking attack you.
They're so emotionally fragile. We have a bunch of emotionally fragile people here in the United States. We're talking here specifically because that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah,
But
fragile, sensitive, and
very, very, very sensitive. And instead of taking it as a joke or ignoring it or like trying to see why they said it and trying to get the actual lesson from it, they get offended and then they get start fucking attacking and get violent. Like you see this in all kinds of very violent, mostly peaceful movements. Mostly peaceful is fucking stupid. That's a term I don't like. I'm not gonna say hate, but I think that's a stupid fucking term. Mostly peaceful. Well, murders are mostly peaceful too. Let's just remember that too. But yeah, man, this is it's an insane. So yeah, Kali Yuga is an pretty intense time to be in. All right, what's next? All the human beings will declare themselves as gods or boon given by the gods and make it as a business instead of teachings. Hmm. Uh, there was a point in time where I called myself God, but I think that was more of a joke than, well, potentially the ruler of my universe. But now I'm thinking, like, dude, am I even actually the ruler of my universe? Am I really? Even in this Rico verse, am I the one in control?
definitely not right now. But I mean, and even it's interesting, you become the ruler of the universe when you realize you're completely not the ruler of the universe. Because only then, when you realize that you're being ruled, only then are you going to be able to like actually see the connections and be able to um, pull the threads right to be able to actually be the master of the universe. When you realize you're not the master,
Yeah.
it's so
Well,
ironic. But
that is ironic, and I think a lot of people finding God has it's the same kind of idea. When you find God, you place yourself below an entity, and once you do that, once you go, oh, okay, I am not the master of shit. I'm not even the master of my own life. Once you have that level of it's not subservience, but once you take yourself down a peg and like in one way the universe will be like, all right, now you deserve this, now you deserve a little more clarity, now you deserve all these things, now you can see all these connections, now you can like, because you removed your fucking ego and your ego is blocking all these things. Yeah, your ego is blocking all these things. Yeah, your ego is blocking all these things in the first place. That's what I was trying to say. In the first place, your ego is blocking all these things in the first place. But yeah, and then given by gods and make it as a business instead of teachings. A lot of people are selling spirituality, and I'm not inclined to like not make money, but there's a lot of fake fucking people out there who say nice words and make people have little nice feelings but aren't really helping them. I mean, I guess you can say they're helping them because they're helping them get off of their mindset and so on and so forth, but a lot of their intentions are not right, dude. A lot of their intentions are not right. A lot of the intentions are very self-serving, and I don't trust self-serving people because in the end you will drop me as soon as it's convenient for you to drop me. I ain't about that.
this one's really subtle. Yeah, I can't see this too much, but and a lot of the people that I do see, yoga teachers and coaches sharing, teachings, I don't mind them selling it. Definitely not. And I think there's plenty of free material, but I think this is more like something hidden that you can't really see. A lot of people have a huge ego. Um, a lot of this whole thing of self-cultivation, actually, this is another whole world topic, but it's actually kind of uh, not true. Like you don't get enlightenment. you may clean the slate and prepare yourself and do all these things, but enlightenment is something that's kind of bestowed, uh, like at the right moment. Um,
You're
so
given enlightenment.
it's
You're
kind of
given
like
awareness.
it just happens. It's not
Mm,
something, enlightenment is something that's not gained and not, uh, otherwise it wouldn't be enlightenment. Enlightenment is something that's transcending all effort and everything. So it's not something you necessarily just work towards and then, okay, I go to, do all this work and then I finally get it. I know we had a different kind of thing, but you're basically cleaning and
right.
preparing and doing everything, and then you just kind of surrendering yourself to it. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you're basically creating some sort of like uh, tuning fork, and that you might receive it, you might not. Some people, they're basically they ostensibly appear to be ready for enlightenment, but they're not enlightened yet, because the whole things haven't like aligned for them yet and things like that. Yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, it's a very urgent thing to get ready though. Do what you can, but you aren't God, that's for sure. And you aren't. I mean, you aren't. Like you aren't. We aren't God itself. We can't
right.
be
You
like
are
we can do everything. I think this is pointing out to how self-centered, self-centered people can be. Like they can do
right.
everything by themselves, kind
Right.
of thing. Whereas we kind of have to be more interconnected and rely on each other and work together.
Right. I agree. So next, people will no longer get married and live with each other just for sexual pleasure. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, see
happening
it
right now in
happening a lot.
society. It's literally what's happening right now in society. People are getting married less and they're creating more temporary relationships with people. They're not creating
And
relationships that,
it's actually becoming profitable. It's
yeah,
more profitable for, this is one of the reasons why there's such a high incidence of um, crime in the Black community, because a lot of the kids, they found that kids that don't have parents, or that don't have parents that are together,
two parent
have
households
5 times more crime, commit 5 times more likely crime.
are more
And
likely
the
to commit,
reason,
5 times more likely to commit crime.
yeah, and the reason that's happening so much, not the crime, but why are mothers staying apart from their husbands, is because they actually get paid by the government
Yeah,
with the alimony and child support, and they would actually make more money to be separate per month. They make
yeah.
a lot more money per month to be separate than to stay with the husband, which would be better for the family, but not from a financial standpoint.
There are some shady ways the government works and gives money away. Like literally says you can't have males in the house. That's kind of fucked. That is a very fucked policy. I don't care who you think you're trying to help. That is a very fucked targeted policy. It's affecting a select group of people disproportionately. Let's not be fucking. Let's not jump around the like or run around the bush here. It's affecting that community disproportionately. So was it their intention to target them?
Yeah,
Maybe.
coming from that conspiracy angle, these guys are freaking geniuses.
Yeah, they are,
These
dude.
conspiracy things, they know these studies before the studies have even formed. They know the conclusion of these studies so perfectly. The Illuminati, they're still illuminated. They're like light years ahead of the studies. The studies are nothing to them because they're already like they're it's just child play to them. But
Yeah.
people are barely researching this now. Oh, having a having a broken family is bad for the kid.
What?
No.
No. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, people. Like, I think it's not even male and female or the two parents. It's just having people that can take care of the kids. So even having a grandma would help. But having a male role model does help men. They do because we as boys start questioning authority very early. And if there's no an authoritative source there to fucking calm us down, we're not gonna get checked.
And not just the child, but the woman too. There's a lot of olfactory and pheromone things that happen. Corey posted a really good image of this thing. I'm not sure if you've seen it, where
Right.
how women will their periods and things will change. Their hormonal cycle. Like if there's a new man in the household, then the woman or the girl um, has puberty earlier. You know, so
Interesting. It's very
pheromones they're really uh,
powerful.
powerful and they control all these hormonal cycles and which those cycles control sexuality and sexuality controls everything else. So I mean,
It's true. All right, next. Weather and environment will degrade with time, and frequent and unpredictable rainfalls will happen. I mean, aren't we supposed to be scared of global warming and climate change and all these things? Isn't that the case for that?
and ice ages too.
Ice
There's
ages. Well, ice ages follow warming, and we're
yeah,
all
I
always
mean a
living
lot of
in the
people say
cycle
global warming, but they don't realize that there's ice age.
that follow.
Uh, not just follows, but it's right now we're this whole thing that we're supposed to be going building up to a grand solar minimum, which is going to be an ice age and soon pretty soon. And that's part of this great conjunction. But yeah, there's climate change is up and down. It's not just oh we're building too many things. Let's stop. It's not due to just carbon emissions. Um,
Yeah, it's not just due to carbon emissions. There's celestial forces at work that most people won't even consider because then they call that woo woo, and they're like, the position of the Earth is not considering to the position to the Earth in relation to the sun, in relation to other celestial objects, is not woo woo. It's just shit so grand you can't see. Yet you think your little life here in this little ass bubble is fucking reality. People are insane. People, there's too much ego in this world, and most people are stuck in that ego in their own 6 feet. That's what they're stuck in. They're stuck in their own 6 feet, basically in their little bubble. So yeah, that's happening. Earthquakes will be common. I mean, we live in the West Coast. Earthquakes are always common.
yeah, but with these weather things and things happening, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Next one. Maximum age of humans will be 50 years by the end of Kali Yuga. Well, we are getting vaccinated up the ass. Not quite literally, but maybe literally. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Um, there's so many toxins in our food. There's so many toxins in the air. There's so many waves and frequencies we can't see that are constantly bombarding us and affecting our cells on microscopic levels, even at atomic levels, perhaps. Who knows? So this 50 years thing is the scariest shit because it's what didn't life expectancy is set to decrease for our generation, like in relation to the previous generation, because of all these things. Like we're not increasing life expectancy. It actually take a dip. Like our life expectancy actually took a dip on average. So this isn't too far fetched, man. Like we're not the healthiest we can be. They're not making us the healthiest we can be. It's not profitable for us to be healthy. And that's fucked. That's dangerous. It's really dangerous. Especially when you think about all the young people ruling the world, man. Or the young people think they rule the world, while it's really just a select few of very, very old people. Yeah, all these things seem dangerous as hell. Next, many fake ideologies will spread throughout the world.
That's 2020.
That's 2020 for sure. That's 2020 in a nutshell. I mean, Scientology, bro. I mean, wasn't it Tom Cruise saying something about mask or some other bullshit? And then I think the headline was guy who believes the earth was populated by aliens 70,000 years ago when they nuked volcanoes and like now wants us to believe in science. And like, fuck. That's hilarious. I don't
Yeah,
really care about these fake ideologies, but they're fucking hilarious in my opinion.
I was thinking like the whole exaggeration over pandemic and lockdowns and things like that. Like fake ideologies right there. Like it was supposed to be lowering the curve all the way to now. We can't even. breathe right. Uh, you can't open shop. You gotta be injected with this thing that's um, an, first mRNA vaccine of its ever, and and then also of course the whole BLM thing. There's a lot of statistical ignorance there. That
Yeah, they're ignorant of the facts. They're emotionally ran.
yeah, but I think
Emotions aren't, they're not even fucking real many times, dude.
yeah,
They're self-created. Your emotions are self-created. I'm not gonna listen to you because you're emotional. The louder you get doesn't mean the more attention I'm gonna pay. Like that's not how civilized society fucking works. I'm sorry. Go yell at someone else. I ain't with that. Like you can call me ignorant and racist or whatever the hell. Like no, I think all races suck, and we should all realize that we're all human race. This is where I'm at. Where are you at? Do you think your race is better? Then you're racist. Like this is it. Like, but most people, nah. Just get emotional and get mad and fucking hope and make these people change their mind because how angry I am and how justified I feel. I don't give a shit about your feelings. I don't.
show me
Don't
the
give a shit.
statistics. Show us the statistics and talk
You,
logically, because if you look at the statistics, there's not really anything.
yeah, I mean, there's
Look at
bigger.
the complete statistics too, because like not don't just throw one random thing. Because yeah, try to study like both sides of points of view, because there's statistics on both sides of view.
Yeah, and but I bet on their side it's more emotionally based. Like they, they don't look at statistics. Even when you show them statistics, they're like, well, those numbers are a lie. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of them are probably unreported. Like a lot of these things are unreported. Those that would I would say yes, I would agree with you. These things are not 100% accurate. But what are you running your theories on? The shit the news shows you? Really? Really? That's where you're getting your emotional fuels from? The news? Mm. Who's paying the news? They're not benevolent like benefactors trying to empower human society. No, they're out to make money.
Then
If
the
the
solutions that they give, like burning buildings is gonna of the lower class is gonna somehow help the lower class, and
yeah,
then forcing people to wear masks is gonna to capture the moisture, to help the moisture spreading, is capturing it and putting it in your face, keeping that moisture there is a great idea.
great idea. Even though, like, doesn't coronavirus die with sunlight, like ultraviolet rays?
And doesn't it have like a fatality lower than other very common activities like driving and um, the flu have the same rate?
I mean, the flu has disappeared mostly for the most part. There's no flu deaths right now. There's very, 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 very minimal flu deaths. Where did they go? I wonder if these flu deaths might be categorized as COVID deaths just so we can get some money. And how will we know if all these tests will probably do a false positive? Because weren't they measuring exosomes? Wasn't that the thing? And they were the process they were doing it would just create false positives all the time. Didn't we read news articles about that? I'm pretty sure most people didn't, but there were out there. So yeah, let's be real, fake ideologies and all this shit I might be saying is fake, but then again, I'm all about personal freedom. You're one pushing shit on me. You're the one with the burden of proof.
Exactly.
Yeah. So next, the powerful people would dominate the poor people. I mean,
Of course, that's always been happening though. This is like, yeah, but yeah, this is the rich have gotten way richer, like, and the poor have gotten even way poorer.
we with our definition of poor has changed and poverty has changed and the poor person now is better off than a rich person like 500 years ago in that kind of sense. But when it comes to control and power and being able to move things, yeah, this is very, very true.
But I mean, the thing is, the reason we don't perceive it as much is because of quantitative easing. Oh, the great Fed, Uncle Fed, just
Great
you
fit.
know, printing $1 trillion in the span of a month, um, whereas normally it has been taking a year. to print $1 trillion. Like it just takes more and more money now to keep the system up,
Right.
But just imagine if the system wasn't there, like if it was just rejected. And, we're keeping it up due to war, due to threats, due to enforcement
Whoa.
around the world. That's the only reason we're able to keep the reserve. But
Doesn't that bring us back to the other one, fake ideologies and our belief in the fiat currency?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess all of these are kind of connected on different dimensions. Some of them are physical, some of them are financial, but they're all like related to this disintegration of
Disintegration is a good word. Yeah. Many diseases will spread. What?
no way. I mean, yeah, I do think that there is an increase in, I mean, there is this bioweapon. I do think it's real. I do think COVID is real.
I
I
do
just
think
don't think
COVID is real
it's
too.
not, I mean, we know it's real because we can see the numbers. I don't say it's real based on the cases. I base its realness based on the increase in overall
Amount of
deaths
death.
that we see, and
Yeah.
because the cases are highly falsified. Anyone, if you have this is your first time hearing it, then you got a lot of research to do in terms of
Your first time reading it, you're listening to this podcast. I don't know how you jumped into this podcast, but welcome, welcome to welcome to the Rico verse and
we've been saying that every single podcast, how the case
basically.
test is PCR test is like testing only fragments of DNA, and it's just you can turn up the PCR spinner and get positive results 100% of the time. And some hospitals have it higher setting, some hospitals have a lower setting, but it's just testing for a fragment. The actual virus has not been isolated. Like, so they're just testing for random fragments that could potentially be there. Um, yeah.
But yeah, keep being afraid of a result of a test that was never meant to test COVID-19. Just know that that test we're specifically referencing, there are other ones that test in different ways, but the main one used was never meant to test this disease. So let's read the last one, which is pretty interesting because at the end of Kali Yuga, Lord Vishnu will take birth on Earth to wipe out the sinners. Boom, mic drop. It's like the second coming of Jesus kind of thing, dude. And how many of us won't get wiped out? I don't know if I'm on that list either because I don't know what the hell we'll consider sin or where the scale would go. But I'm trying to go and work my ways towards the not getting wiped out right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's symbolic either. Like, they, sometimes have Noah's flood and that kind of thing, because none of this other stuff was symbolic. They just said it straight up, and
Yeah,
all of these have been on point, exactly what's going on right
yeah.
now, you know, and what's going to continue to disintegrate. So why would this last one be symbolic? I think it's pretty literal. It's the same thing that says in the Bible,
Yeah,
Vishnu, Jesus. In the Quran, it also says similar things, and in the Buddhist Surya Sutra, it also talks about the return of Maitreya. But then that was like tens of thousands of years later. So, so I think this is actually gonna be like 10,000 years, man.
no, we're ending Kali Yuga, bro. We
But
are at the epitome of, well, not the epitome, at the end result of Kali Yuga.
isn't the Kali Yuga though 10,000? Isn't usually the Yuga's 10,000 years?
Yeah, we've been in this fucking age for thousands and thousands of years. This is
Possible starting and ending dates. Kali Yuga began at midnight on 3,102 BCE, before the Common Era. So 5,000. Oh, so we got 5,000 more years to go, man.
I don't know, man. Let's see. What are the other ones? According to Strong Nutritionists, Kali Yuga started in 3100 BC, and then the other one 3100 BC. Actual date is 3104. So according to this, we still have thousands and thousands of years of Kali Yuga to come. Man, fuck all that.
No, I mean that's what the other religions say too. Based on a starting year of the duration of 432,000 years, Kali Yuga began to 5,000 years. That has what the hell? Kali Yuga will end in 428,000 years.
I don't know if humans can survive that goddamn long, bro.
I think we will. Definitely we will. There's no there's no real there's no real enemy. The only real enemy is the Illuminati who wants to, Agenda 2030 and completely control the world and brainwash everyone. And then eventually, the enlightened ones will come out of Samadhi and be like, "Oh, what's up? Oh, you guys,
You guys still
um,
fucking around over here?
my sheep. I gotta save my sheep. All right, go herd my sheep."
Go ahead, my shit. This is fucked. Now I'm all mad and depressed. Now I just want to go off and fucking start murdering people. Then fuck it. Like, what's the point? What's the point, man? 400,000 years more of this bullshit.
Well, at least that means you can give up on any hope of fighting the New World Order, because this is pretty much the same thing that the Surangama Sutra was saying the same thing. That it's going to be like 100,000 years or a million years or something, and then Maitreya is going to return. But then why does the Bible? Because I listened to some of these Bible talks too, and they talk about how, don't take the mark of the beast. Jesus is going to come when and just hang on. But this is saying to hang on for hundreds of thousands of years. I thought the Bible was just saying, hang on for a few years and then Jesus can kick banker's ass. But
Hundreds of thousands of years, dude.
so maybe this is talking about a bigger saving, and then Jesus is gonna do like maybe these are different types of kick ass. We're gonna have Jesus in a few years. We're gonna have Vishnu coming as the final kick ass, and then Maitreya, the absolute final. Because when Maitreya comes, supposedly that's when people are gonna get enlightened by billions and billions, like throughout the universe and stuff, and then pretty much the whole universe is just gonna be enlightened and stuff.
That's probably when we start creating a new universe, though. That's probably the end of this universe and this whatever the hell we call it, and be like, boom, Big Bang number 85.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even I'm not gonna wait for that to happen. I mean, I'm not gonna. Some people are of the mindset that, oh, we're all gonna get in line anyways. Just so it's okay, just bob around the universe and
Let's
let the
suffer for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years.
yeah,
People love
lazy
their suffering.
lazy mindset.
People love their suffering.
But yeah, I think it's good to stay ahead of the program and do what you can for your own spiritual salvation and research. So study and research what that is, according to the original teachings while we still have them. While we still have them, because religious teachings will get wiped out, just like they've kind of get wiped out in China, right? And
True. It's true.
yeah, we this is a big rabbit hole. I think this is really fun though.
Yeah. I I wasn't expecting hundred thousands of years of fucking more bullshit. Like, man, now I'm
Let's look at the reference though. This was by Godwin. The Hindu astronomers agree that Kali Yuga began at midnight, February 17, 18,000. I mean, at 3000 BCE, basically. Consequently, it is due to end 420,000, whereupon a new golden age will dawn.
and it's like 10,000 years of gold, man. How come it's like hundreds of thousands of years of fucking chaos and like a little fraction of golden age?
Let's do this one here. This is really good. Uh, I'll
Let's
read the
get through.
Sanskrit here. Ak kablu ayau rai aiknam bavahu anrut nahi nahi matparam bolahu. Oh, I actually understand these words because it's similar to my own language.
That's kind of tight. So the translation says, "Now the dark age of Kali Yuga has come. Plant the name of what the one Lord. It is not the season to plant other seeds. Do not wander lost in doubt and confusion and delusion." Delusion is a good word out there. Well, the Sikhism, those are the Sikhs.
Yeah,
Um,
and none of these things say that every single person is going to be affected by that. There's definitely going to be people that are the exception to all of these. It's just going to say that like 99% of people. are not the exception. So, yeah, there's plenty of room to be among the exception. We got 8 billion people, so that means millions of people can be still not deluded and stuff. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we could read the Certain Brahma Sutra one time. Like that one also has like a pretty same thing here. Like all these things on the Buddhist side, they have the same kind of prediction, different story format. I think we read it before, but I think we read it on the podcast. But yeah, I think that's a good place to get out of that topic. We just gotta keep planting the seeds of wisdom and clarity, and plant the name of the Lord, um, the one Lord, whatever name you've given it. The origin of the universe. You know,
Whatever
giving
name you're
giving.
giving it. Are you trying to spread religion on my podcast?
Not Lord, but giving obeisance to the fundamental uh, origin of the universe. And whether if you're a scientist, that means giving obeisance to the Big Bang itself, the origin. And then if you're a spiritualist, it could be you know any of number of things.
Yeah, very, very. Do not wander lost in doubt and delusion. Well, most of us are that. Most of us are that. Man, humans have such a short lifespan. It's fucking, it's kind of weak. We should have thousands of years of life. But then again, most of us torture ourselves throughout our whole lives. So would you want thousands of years of torture?
But then that torture isn't. Um, you don't know how to do that. And
What do you mean?
regarding the idea of death and life, like we're like we were talking yesterday about the chapters thing, about we're just chapters in a book, and we're really, there's no real such thing as death, there's no real such thing as birth, but we got to really actually not just theoretically say that. We got to experience that and get enlightened. And but once we've gotten enlightened, then we don't really die anymore. We can just kind of watch the rest of this cosmic play, and partake in it too, because the body
Yeah,
is just an illusion.
that sounds fun, dude. Like actually being able to influence even in small, minute ways this cosmic dance we're all in. That that I don't know. I have a strong desire to do that.
Well, it's not um, that I that desire to influence things actually pulls you into the karmic flow again. So you've got to kind of transform all those desires
Fine.
out. Just just watch things as they go. Do respond as needed, and that's why
Yeah.
that's why this whole thing. I think they're not going to come until the very very end, because it's not really needed. A lot of these things are self-caused. Like it's our karma. Our global karma of ignorance, greed, and delusion that we've built multi-generationally. And and but yeah, they'll step out of some auto when it's absolutely needed, I guess, when there's just total darkness for a long time.
Bro, I don't know if humans can last 400,000 years of darkness and bullshit. Like, I honestly don't think we would. We are our own biggest enemy, and we're on the verge of blowing each other up right now. Like all these tensions with all these nations, they're being held with fucking economics right now.
I mean, it looks really bad in our mind, because we're able to see things a lot more now, but it was pretty bad before too. And there
But
was a lot of combat. There's no peace before.
granted, but this combat didn't have the potential to wipe out the planet and make holes in the planet.
Well, yeah, but that's not saying that those kind of accidents can't happen, but it's still not likely to happen. There was no likelihood of that happening before, but um,
Yeah.
Still, the likelihood of that happening is still pretty low, still pretty safe. And conversely, like the other stuff is even safer of regular crime and regular
Yeah,
robbery
that's true.
and before there was this total complete serfdom. Everyone was peasants. Now we're all peasants. We're gonna be real peasants pretty damn soon, if not already.
China allows it. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, basically. But
China's already uh, mostly peasants.
there's a
Sorry,
ton of
listeners.
people
We know
even kill
there's a few of you
themselves.
over there.
Yeah, man. So let's go on and finish and go on to our final topic, which is actually change yourself, change the world. This is the name of the podcast. We always reference this. So out of all this information, of all this bullshit that we've been talking about, not really bullshit. I'm just saying all this information that we have been talking about. How does one change themselves? Because man, 400,000 years of this, I'm like, man, get me enlightened right now. Let me help society right now. And I don't. How many of us are actually going to keep fighting this fight? Would you be a bodhisattva? Would you come back to this realm to help it? Or would you just be like, I'm gonna go work on my other levels of Buddhahood? You as a conscious entity right now, would you become a bodhisattva? Bodhisattva being what? Is it an enlightened being or a being that chooses to come back to this world in order to actually help it and enlighten it? Right?
Yeah, yeah, but not necessarily for their own selfish desires,
Right.
but due to their intentional like purpose that they've decided to respond to.
Right. So would you be a bodhisattva? Knowing that you have to come back to this realm and deal with all this delusion.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do. What else, if I was enlightened, that's what this book is about, Buddha Yoga. He talks about in one of the earlier chapters how before you even embark on this path, set some intentions like what kind of bodhisattva do you want to be. There's all different types of bodhisattvas. There's bodhisattvas of medicine, healing, the medicine bodhisattva. There's bodhisattvas of money, people, bodhisattvas that help entrepreneurs. So you say that mantra, and then they summon and they send out their manifestations into your mind or into your life somehow, and they're able to help you. Um, but yeah, you can whatever you're good at. What are you good at? Like choose that as your vow. Like, oh, I want to help people with technological issues. I want to be the IT bodhisattva or something. And that's there's
Imagine
nothing.
that. You're like the
Yeah, it is.
GitHub of like the
That this
IT people.
I kind of am myself because like I like anytime like my coworkers sometimes they'll like hit me up for some help and I'm like I'm here and then they'll just do something and they're just immediately helped. Like I didn't do anything. And like I was just trying this for so long and it didn't work. And now it's happened so many times. And then sometimes, like I can't solve an issue and I just pray and Google the crap out of it. And eventually I break through and I figure it out eventually. And then sometimes I figure it out, but I don't know exactly what I did um, or how it resolved itself. But some sort of weird twinkling and things. And there's some things like that I still don't quite understand, but everything's working out. But yeah, there's something special about you. Um, you have something special. Otherwise, you wouldn't exist. Like because we all develop like some sort of specialty, um, some sort of specialty like that we're really gifted with. Um, and I don't know, you might just be like the most normal person, and even that's a really special thing. You might be such a chill person, such a chill. Like I've met those kind of people before. Like they're just so they say that they're so normal, and they are pretty dang normal. They're pretty like well rounded and everything. So you might be the well rounded bodhisattva or something. You know, or you could be like completely talentless and you play video games all day. But that's something right there. You know, you
Video
got
game bodhisattva. That's what I was
you can
thinking
be
right
the
now. I was like, I'm pretty
entertainment
good at video
bodhisattva.
games.
You can be the bodhisattva of bliss and enjoyment. And
All the gamers will pray to me, bow down to my name.
yeah, I'm getting into like all sorts of other stuff here, but what happens is like you build this bodhisattva body, which is like this transcend. It's called a sambhogakaya. It's like called a reward body in English. Um, but what that body has is like you could flush that body with all sorts of enjoyment power, and so what you do is you just like send out the manifestations from there, and you can just kind of that's pretty much what Hare Krishna is like. You know how like when certain mantras you say them and you feel this bliss, like that's what they're doing. They're projecting those things constantly throughout the universe, and then you tap into it. You're able to capture some of those emanations, and those emanations have this bubble of bliss and all sorts of other stuff too, like a little capsule of knowledge and intuition and yeah, like but you can only capture them when they ring you up. They have to hit you up. You can't just force yourself into people's lives. So that's the thing with being a bodhisattva. You can't just force yourself into people's life. You have to have some sort of specialty. You have to have some sort of you also have to like leave, so you also have to like kind of emanate yourself physically into the world, and then create some sort of stupa or like some sort of cultural imprint, so that people will know to summon you and things like that, how to summon you and call on you. And I think a lot of the famous bodhisattvas, that's what they do. But there are also a lot of bodhisattvas that people don't hear about, but they can still help them out. The book goes into this in like really awesome detail. It's insane. But how you can still help people out that just they want help in something, you can help them out. But unless you have a karmic connection, you can't just randomly help people out, unless because then you create these other karmic loops and things. And but yeah,
Hmm. Interesting. So you would be a bodhisattva.
definitely, yeah. There's no reason not to be.
Hmm.
But you can also be a bodhisattva and take a vacation. A lot of bodhisattvas do that. And the thing with vacations though is they basically go into nirodha samadhi, which is like a ultimate samadhi outside of the eight samadhis, and it's like a super vacation. Like when you go into it, like you come back out after like 80,000 years, like just like in the flash of an instance. So,
What is time, anyways?
but the way that I see it, and the way that the author, Bill, he talks about it in his book, is like, what's the point of that? You just freaking there was no
You've
particular
never had
cultivation
ultimate
to it.
samadhi though, so you don't know what the point of that is.
I don't. True, true. But it seems like more of just an altered state experiment. And the Buddha also talks about it. Uh, the higher branch of Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, talks about it. But the lower branch of Buddhism is like, you know, totally proponents of that vacation samadhi. Um,
Nice. A vacation samadhi sounds dope. It really does. I
yeah,
wouldn't mind it.
it's like it probably helps.
80,000
Like
years.
it's probably like does a lot of benefits, but there's probably harder ways of transforming those seeds and other things in the stuck in the consciousness that they're trying to. Yeah, I want to get too deep into that and play guesswork with that, but yeah, like the most important thing is to figure out what you're good at, because you're not bodhisattva yet, like, but you got to prepare to be a bodhisattva by um, developing those skills and improving, honing in your gift, making that gift like amazing, and then yeah, you'll be like able to take even greater leaps when you actually um, get different levels of samadhi, and on your way to enlightenment you get all sorts of supernatural things, and you're just the best in the world at whatever it is, literally like one of the best people in the world on that. And then yeah, and then you as a bodhisattva, you can easily help people on those things. So
Hmm.
whether it's business management or being a healer, a doctor, or a pharmacist, or a herbalist, or there's so many things that people need help in. Agriculturalist, there's deities that help with farming and agriculture. Um,
Society engineering.
there's literally every single possible. There's so many roles, and then there's dharma protectors. They'll protect like the um, dharma centers and things like that.
Interesting. Interesting. So, what is your gift? What is your gift is the question. What gift do you want to bestow upon the world? What
Yeah,
gift
and
do
it
you
doesn't
want to
have to be
give?
just one. It can be like multiple. Usually, you have like two or three. But yeah, some of the deities do just focus on one because there's just such a complexity. Like being a permacultural god is pretty wide actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to grow good crops and yeah, grow.
So yeah, like it's fascinating how that actually happens. Um, if you don't get enlightened, what happens is you might turn into so you say you're like some sort of permacultural um, expert, and you know you're homesteading, and you're just like the best at it, and eventually you get old, you die, and you didn't get enlightened. You become a ghost, and what happens is you become kind of like a protectorate over that land, because as a ghost, you know your spirit, your consciousness, you're still there, you're still existing. Now you're getting ready for your next form, whether that's going to be uh, a human or an animal or a demigod. That's really up to you at that point still. Like everything's always up to you at every single moment. Every single moment is you have a great measure of control. But at this moment, it's really important um, to select carefully. And it's actually even harder though to use your will at that moment because there's so much phantasmagoric um, like manifestations that can. The Tibetan Book of the Dead goes into this stuff. If you want to read it, like it really talks about this stuff in detail, like all the weird visions and things that happen. Basically, it's like Buddhist yogis that died and they came back into the body after they died. They purposefully exited their body in order to see what it's like to die, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm going to document all this." And that's what this Tibetan Book of the Dead is. And they documented it in order to help other people that didn't get enlightened or that just couldn't make it. And but they do have some high level awareness. Just because you read the book doesn't mean you're going to actually make use of any of it without any cultivation practice whatsoever. So you do have to have some sort of concentration power to be able to swim through this sea of uh, distractions and uh, shock that comes at you. But anyways, um, you know, it's a lifetime as a ghost. It's a whole lifetime as a ghost. You know, you can you know, it can be anywhere from several days, like 40 days is standard to go into if you want to go into the next body. But you can you can make it a total, you know, be like the from the ghost form. You can do ghost cultivation. There's like a whole ghost world and astral plane and things like that. And
Damn.
from there, you can try to fetch back all your memories. You'd have to reconsolidate your memories from the human realm that you had, and then kind of like how you're doing now. You know, this whole
Mm.
cultivation path.
So we're
You're
ghost.
yeah, we're really forgetful. Yeah, we're basically walking ghosts right now, and that's how we're always are, right? Form to form. But
Interesting.
yeah, like from and then from that ghost form, you be cultivating, but it's such a long journey to become a bodhisattva, much less a Buddha. I mean,
From the
um,
ghost form?
well, yeah, like you know, from the ghost form, you keep cultivating that all the factors of enlightenment and you know to. But the important thing is, and that's what this book talks about, is you need to make some sort of transcendental vow, and what that vow does is it it lines you up to make that shot to bodhisattvahood. You know, if you don't make a vow, if you don't make a promise, if you don't make a purpose with your life,
Mm.
with your consciousness, then your consciousness is just strewn around, and you're not gonna have any you're not gonna have any direction. And yeah, like so, the Buddhas, they'd make 4 different vows. You know, we can look at those vows just in examples. But there's tons of vows to look at for examples. Um, 4 great vows. These vows are freaking insane level vows, high level vows. But the reason these vows are so high level are they where are they? The 4 bodhisattva vows.
You can put 4.
Vows, central, the 4 universal vows, is it?
I don't know. It's the first time hearing of these 4 vows.
Yeah, this is really succinct. Let me look up the 4.
The one that says 4 bodhisattvas right next to it. You probably done.
But that one's like really short. I'm looking for the juicy one.
Well, you never went
There
to
it
it.
is. Here it is, right here. Uh, you know, the first vow is beings are numberless. I vow to
Ooh.
save them.
Ooh.
Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Like, so, you know, impossible, right? But, you know, Dharma gates are boundless, but I vow to enter them. The Buddha's way is unsurpassable. I vow to become it. You know, so this is like
Interesting.
encapsulating everything that a person could possibly do. Like these are some, so you know, these are the core Buddhist vows of the Mahayana Buddhists or Zen Buddhists. And the reason they take these vows is because they line your life up. You're not gonna get strewn around. And these are the real meanings of life, you know, like there's infinite beings in this universe and other, you know, mirror universes, whatever the other quantum things there are that we don't know how to describe. Like, but they're pretty much numberless. Even if just this one universe, and with our current astronomical knowledge, there's like countless planets with habitable life forms, right? And but the vow here is that I vow to save them. I vow to save all of them. I vow to help as many people as I possibly can. And the reason they take these insane little vows is because there's not really much else to do if you're immortal consciousness. You're just gonna use your time to help people. And also the other reason they do it is because um, it's gonna like I said, it's gonna direct your consciousness and help you go towards the right way and transcend. But also because it's gonna build you merit. And what merit is, it is basically good karma. Merit is basically the points you need in order to be able to gain bodhisattvahood and become a Buddha. Um, so yeah, you kind of need these karma points in order to be able to access a lot of these realms. And that's what this next one is. Dharma gates are boundless. I got to learn like a lot of these Dharma gates and masteries and things, uh, special consciousness states, and uh, so many different practices and aesthetic practices. Like they take a level of merit to succeed at them. Like anything from the um sexual practices of cultivation to even just aestheticism, like fasting. You can't even fast if you don't have at least some good karma. You're gonna have a really difficult time even fasting. Um, yeah, like
Hey, I'm having an okay time fasting, so I must be doing something right.
uh, and then this one, the Buddha's way is insurpassable. I didn't really get this, but basically what I think it means right now is just like Buddha's way. You, it's kind of tricky to explain, but like the Buddha, you can't really ultimately become a Buddha, but the fact that you vow to become a Buddha by wanting to save all beings, you that's what a Buddha is. Like it's like this. Yeah, I don't really understand the latter stages of enlightenment, but Who cares? Because the first stages are of bodhisattvahood are pretty much all that's really important, and being able to save yourself from the transcending, being able to just be awake. That's the important part. What is a Buddha? That's too hard a question to even wrap your head around. Just important thing is just what is a bodhisattva? What does it mean to be awake and consciousness wise? Let's try to do that first. Uh,
One step at a time. One step at a time.
yeah.
So how can we start working on this? How can we start following the path of becoming awake, whether it be
Well,
Buddha's
I would
way
I
or
wouldn't suggest taking these vows unless you really mean them and they're really like wow, stand up
I
to you. But because what happens is you actually create some sort of lock in your consciousness when you create a vow. But once you're ready to make a vow and you're ready to create that lock, what that lock is going to do, it's going to kind of trap you. But it's a good trap. Um,
it's a
it's,
contract.
it's a contract. It's a good kind of contract you need to make. Um, and yeah, like there's certain contracts you've actually made in your past life too. And that's the important thing. A lot of those contracts you got to fulfill. You might have made promises to a past lover or something, and you vowed to help them, and you vowed to.
What? How am I supposed to remember all this? I have to
Well,
become
first,
enlightened, then have to fucking remember everything and be like, oh, okay, I told this person 8 generations ago that I would give them a cow.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, those are all the things that you do after you've become a bodhisattva and you're awake, and you're, first of all, step 0.7. Like step one is like you gotta become awake, and then after that, you can start remembering some of the things. But before you even do that, you got to start consolidating your awakeness, and you just woke up, like start like consolidating everything and kind of planning things out and what you want to do. But yeah, but in order to actually carry yourself up there, you got to have strong desire. Like Buddha said it really well. Like um, you must eliminate all desire except the desire to become except the desire to become enlightened. Like that has to be your strongest desire. Buddha didn't say all desire is bad. He said, you actually have to have desire. Desire is really important,
Hmm.
but the desire to have enlightenment is what's important, not all these random desires and all these random desires to play around and all these side quests and distractions. The desire to just wake up is pretty important because if you don't have that desire, like some people, they're like some of the Buddhists and stuff, they have this idea of nihilism, like, oh, it doesn't matter what I do. And they might think that for so many things, but it's dumb to think that because you do have a duty, not a duty, you do have a imperative. You have an imperative for your consciousness to wake up. And
Save your soul.
yeah, but and if you don't believe that, that's fine too. You have an imperative though. Usually if you don't believe that, that means that you really you have something meaningful in this life. Um, so you should use that as a vow though. This is a good thing to do, even if you're super, you know, um, super worldly. I don't know a better word to say it, but you're super involved with the world and you don't really see the world like the way that we're talking about, um, in a transcendental way and looking beyond this form. And you just, yeah, it's still important to make a vow because Stanford has done a study that unless you write down what your goal is, you're never going to achieve it. They did this study with Stanford graduates and they made them write down their goals, and then they made this other group not write down their goals. Or I'm not sure if they wrote down their goals or not, but the group that wrote down their goal, they were much more likely to actually achieve it and be successful than the groups that didn't at all.
Makes sense. I mean, I've heard that same study too.
Yeah. So
Peter,
this,
Jordan Peterson talks about it as well.
yeah, yeah. This is like uh, a gamut of that, like from 0 to 1 million. This is like the ultimate hyper spiritual aspect of that. Um, like on the spiritual plane, like the transcendental, like all the way until you're the end of universal expansion. There's no end to it, but I don't know. I don't think there's an end to it. But some people say there's going to be like some sort of universe fully expands, and then it's going to start like contracting again. Joe Rogan, remember, talked about that. Do you remember that?
Maybe one of his talks.
Yeah, and Alex Jones, the Joe Rogan Alex Jones talk, he talked about that, like how once he was talking to some quantum scientists, and he was talking about how the universe expands, and then eventually, like trillions and trillions of years later, it's gonna finish expanding, and what's gonna happen is it's gonna start rebounding itself. It's gonna start collapsing, and eventually, it's gonna just completely compress all the way. But
And then boom, everything happens again.
yeah, and then it just boom, it just happens again and again. It just, but I don't know. But that makes sense from a principle point of view. But I wonder how that affects consciousness and everything. And I wonder if consciousness just gets reformed into that one unified consciousness. I
One
wonder if
person.
consciousness is part of that cosmic bubble of everything, including all things. And
Yeah,
then everything just gets started over, and
yeah,
all of time gets started
yeah. We will have a different
over.
version of reality all over again.
even
And
the even the enlightened ones just get recycled. And
I know I'm quoting Sadhguru a lot, but 84 Big Bangs. There's been 84 versions of reality has happened. This is our 84th attempt at reality, and the number we're going for is 112, I believe. So once we reach 112, this is when basically we're in those. Everyone's an enlightened Buddhist, enlightened being. Just everyone's in that realm, but that's an unfathomable like amount of time for us. So it's kind of pointless to think about that one right now. Each Big Bang is like trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years, at least. If I don't know how long the next big reality would be, like quadrillions of years long. Like so.
so did Sadhguru? Yeah, I mean, there's no
Well, the
point in talking
concept
about
of
these
multiple
things.
Big Bangs, that's what he was referring to, and he was talking with a physicist or a quantum physicist, and they were like, there's a possibility of that there have been multiple Big Bangs that have occurred,
Oh.
and that's where he kind of went on to the topic of, yeah. And I
This
mean,
is pretty gracious of him to respond to those kind of things.
yeah, he basically told the guy, just take 84 as a reference number, and don't worry about it too much. Just when you guys start doing your studying and do all this other stuff, just take 84 as a reference number. And then he said, this is why um, there's a big, how do you put it? I'm butchering it right now, but if you do 84 rotations around the sun, the earth releases a little bit of hold off you, and you're able to become, well, enlightened much easier, just because of that. You've gone 84 years or 84 times around the sun, so you've unlocked an achievement of sorts, and you're able to become enlightened much easier. But yeah, you guys should go listen. And when he was talking about this during his like this, there's special little things. It's not a regular talk. There are times when you start going to esoteric and the occult and all these other things. So you have to take all these things with your level of perspective and belief. So I'm not gonna apply and say this is truth or not. It's just interesting things to just think about. And yeah, 84 seems to be a good number. Oh man, but now I'm still sad that it's 450,000 years of more bush than the Kali Yuga. You know what? It's okay.
But why does that matter? Are you waiting for someone to save you?
I was kind of hoping to. No, I wasn't waiting for anybody to save us. I was hoping
I'm
to
kind of.
see this turn of age within this lifetime.
I
That's what
mean,
that was the hope. But I
what
guess
you
I
can
just have to
do
become
though is,
enlightened.
yeah, just become enlightened, man.
Yeah, just become enlightened.
And then
That's
and then you can just uh mess with the elite, and
Yeah, I'll be here chilling for a couple 100,000 years and then take a 80,000 year vacation, then come back in the golden years when everybody's fucking woke. And then I'll take another vacation because I've been helping too much or whatever. And oh man,
Yeah,
that's
I
so
mean, the
funny.
most important thing, I mean, what are we gonna get out of this? Seeing this, this mundane, worldly wave of change, whether it's for the better or good or worse, it doesn't matter really. Like, because the craziest thing is you're gonna lose his body one way or another. Even if the world is a perfect utopia, do you think they're gonna have some sort of miracle thing that's gonna save you from death? No, they're never gonna have something like that. Those are all just fantasy things. You see that kind of stuff sometimes in the news, but yeah, it's total BS. The only thing that that you can really have any faith in is like what they've been saying for thousands of years, that there is some sort of Atman, there is something that some sort of consciousness shift that can be done, and it helps you transcend the 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 rebirth cycles and things. And yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say before that, before we talked about this. Yeah, I think it's just not really too important to there's a critical imperative right now. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the same thing here. Like, Buddha, when he was asked the same question as they asked Sadhguru about all this universe, and what, explain to us about the cosmic destiny, and where did we come from. Buddha was like, don't worry about it. Worry about your present moment right now. Like, what's the point of explaining all that stuff? That's like a person. He gave the analogy of the man with an arrow, man shot with an arrow. You heard of that. There's
Yeah,
a good video on YouTube. Just type in spirit science, parable of the arrow. Um, but yeah, in short, it's like, this guy, he gets shot by an arrow, and then he's like, help, help! I can't. Who shot me with this arrow? Help! I'm bleeding. Who helped? Who shot me with this arrow? Like, help me find them. And then he goes to this person, and they're like, do you need um do you need help finding the person who shot you there, or do you need to fix the fact that you're bleeding to death right now? Um,
interesting. So, do you want to find the person who shot the arrow, or do you want to stop bleeding to death?
yeah, do you want to save your life? In other words, save your soul, or do you want to? Um,
Nah, fuck that. Who shot me?
well, the point is, you're not gonna be able to find that guy anyways. You
Oh
gotta, first of
man.
all, and that analogy perfectly correlates with the thing here too. You're not gonna be able to fight the elite unless you have some sort of uh, cosmic standing. You're an ant compared to the Anunnaki. I
Fuckers.
mean, we're ants compared to them. That's why they can. I mean, the rich are not dumb. The rich are extremely smart. That's why they're rich. You think like this, the rich people are like they're accidentally there and they were just handed everything. And then what about the people above
Some of
them?
them were groomed.
Some of them were groomed. Yeah, true. But that must probably be like lower them. But they're still pretty smart though. A lot smart. I mean, not maybe equally smart as the rest of us, because they do. I guess some of them are pretty drug addicts, like a lot of celebrities. But I think some of the celebrities are they're pretty clever.
Some of them.
They like memorize all these lines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a talent to what they do, but I don't think the celebrities that are shown in front of us are anywhere near the high ranks. I think they've just been included in the group because they can be used. But that's a different topic.
Yeah, I'm not saying we got to be rich or something. That's the thing. I'm so glad it's not about money. Um, Money is just a uh, to continue life. I'm glad it's about um, some sort of cosmic understanding, and just maintaining your health, maintaining a basis of health, and some sort of a vector so that you can pull yourself out of the sea of samsara and breathe, and then be able to rise and fly as some vengeful bodhisattva demon god.
Demon God,
I vowed to destroy
destroy
the.
the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
What
That's a vow I can get with. Yeah, actually.
if the Anunnaki are actually helping us and everything's been distorted?
Well, I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to clarify these vows in a way that like works out, because there is two factions within the Anunnaki, right? There's the Enki's faction and there's the other faction, the Martian faction, who are just trying to create a slave race. And then Enki would like inject he would secretly inject better DNA. But yeah, this whole thing, like if you have you heard the Credo Mutwa's story?
Is that the one where we came from clay pots? And
Mm-hmm.
then, well, I've heard a little bit of Enki,
Like
the
they would come
benevolent
by in his
Anunnaki.
village and they would like inject them in Africa, his village, and he would be like, "Oh, we would always, uh, in order to avoid their injections, we would always pinch or not pinch, like take rocks and pinch them really tight on their shoulders in order to pretend that they got injected. And when they came by, they were like, "Oh, he's already injected. He's already vaccinated." So that way, these vaccines that they were giving out in Africa to these tribes, they wouldn't be injecting them, because what these vaccines do, according to him, is they block your spiritual vision so
Mm,
that see the you can't see the Anunnaki, you can't see other dimensions, and you can't connect to the spirit realm as easily.
assholes.
And they've been doing it for hundreds of years,
Thousands
thousands
and
of years
hundreds
actually.
of thousands, tens of thousands of years, according.
Yeah,
Still assholes.
and they've been doing it more and more in this past hundreds of years. I think I don't know how they've been doing it tens of thousands of years ago, but yeah. Anyways, like the Spirit Science has a great documentary on that, and then Credo Mutwa has his own in-person documentaries with David Icke. Really good stuff.
That's hilarious. Or use rocks and pinch them so you can. No, I'm vaccinated, bro. Don't worry about this shit. I got my mark already. Fuck it. Damn, man. Fucking Bill Gates.
Yeah, he's
But
definitely not just a celebrity. He knows what's up. His
oh no,
father's father's a eugenicist.
he's one of the puppet masters. He's not the puppet master, but he's pretty well up there.
The way he just giggles at everything, like
Oh man, I
people dying and
that guy knows. I,
depopulation.
why are they listening to a fucking nerd who never actually created anything?
Mm.
Like he never programmed all these things. He didn't create DOS. He did not. He didn't. He's not the Microsoft guy. He's just the manager. To be honest, he did create Microsoft and so on and so forth. But yeah, they credit him for too much shit. Just like I think they credit Steve Jobs for too much shit. He might have motivated a bunch of people, but I don't think he programmed shit in the past 20, 30 years. I don't think it was there with the engineers going, nah, 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 this piece of code needs to be like this, or this piece of code needs to be like that. Or anyways, that's beside the point. Just people's people idolize the wrong people right now, the wrong things, the wrong everything, which is going back to the Kali Yuga thing. But yeah, just meditate more, people, become enlightened. Step number one, reach enlightenment. Step number two, you can decide that after you reach step number one.
Well, yeah, that's the what you decided at step zero. But there's no way you're gonna achieve enlightenment unless you kind of make some sort of grand thing, because it takes a huge amount of effort and concentration and sacrifice to the for the effort of, like, you have to sacrifice a lot to build, to do the practices of enlightenment. So and you gotta have like a worthy sacrifice, or worthy goals, worthy vows, whatever you want to call it. um
Yeah, well, I currently want to create a society where we can create more enlightened beings. The environment, the way we operate our system of economics, the way we trade resources, the way we do all these things, these can all be more conducive towards spirituality if we organize them the right way. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And with the whole little collective communities and collective economies, like this is all. I'm trying to set everything up, not so we can just take care of ourselves and have lives. No, I'm trying to set everything up so that we can start focusing on more important shit. Because right now everybody's striving for survival and trying to thrive in a fiat currency world, which means absolutely jack shit. Like it's nice to be able to have money and funds and be able to give to your kids what you didn't have and blah 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 blah. But all that is essentially going to fade away as well. So yeah, this is kind of where I'm at though, which is the only thing that I would vow or well, I have vowed to be honest, is to do that and that specific thing. It's to create a society that mixes spirituality and politics and resources and economics, so we can create environments so that everyone has a potential. Everyone can get enlightened with as least amount of roadblocks as possible. Because right now, us striving to work and do this and save money and do this and invest and come here and do that and blah blah blah, all that shit are just distractions. And like we can create better societies and I'm with that. I don't think we're at the end or the peak of civilization. I think shit's just getting good, but we're not at the peak, and we can exponentially better the lives of everyone on this planet. We can, if we really focus and decided to put our intention and resources and energy into that. We could. We could feed everybody. We could clothe everybody. We could give clean water to everybody. We can provide electricity. We can provide Wi-Fi. We can do all these things if we organize in such a way. But we're not. The way our economic systems work and the way a lot of our things work, they're not organized to be more human efficient. They're organized to be kind of they're very efficient for a specific group of people or companies or whatever the hell. So I mean that's where I'm at in the vow that I'm making because I don't see any other things to do on this realm. Like what the hell else am I supposed to do? I yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see what else I'm supposed to do other than try to make everyone create a more conducive environment for enlightenment and help myself become enlightened on the way, like on the way there. Cause yeah, man, we should all get on it. We
Okay,
should
man, that
all
sounds
get on it.
awesome. And that's definitely one of my vows too. Yeah, I think that's most of these. A lot of the Buddhists they have those kind of vows that create some sort of the city planner vow, like the Amitabha Buddha. When you say his vow, like you enter this, his realm is like this, um, like jewel encrusted heaven with like pearls and all sorts of jewels like surrounding it to make cultivation easier within there. And yeah, there's the stories of it is just crazy. Like the Amitabha Sutra, it's really
Let's bring those heavens to earth.
yeah. It might be some sort of uh physical limitations. Some it might be easier at a heavenly realm. There might be like physical things that are not so limiting on that side. I don't know, but yeah, you
But
could definitely that could be the vow too. That to build the best possible environment here in this life as well. Um,
yeah,
but that's more of a goal. So there's a vow, but then there's goals within that vow. So a vow is like a transcendental thing, like beyond just this life. It's a directional thing. You can never fail at a vow, so long as you give your best. But a goal you can always fail at. So vows automatically produce the goals. So your vow might be that you vow to create holistically beneficial cities and support them.
it will
And the goal,
societies.
yeah, societies. So the goal that would spawn from that, so whether it's in this life or the next life, whatever it is, whatever you can do in whatever moment that you are, whatever conditions that you've spawned in, spawn is like, because you might, respawn kind of thing. So whatever, wherever you respawn, you've decided to target that. So yeah, kind of like in Halo, if you respawn at a certain point, your vow is still the same to defeat the enemy.
Right.
You might take a different path. You might have a different respawn point, but your vow is still the same. But your goal is a little different, or well, your goal is still the same. It's kind of like actually Halo's not the best example because you're respawning in a totally different map.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of like loosely the same analogy though. Yeah,
Very loosely. All right, man. So let's start wrapping this up because we're at basically like 2.5 hours.
yeah.
How can people start changing and start working towards this path? I mean, what would be your recommendation for a complete beginner?
Yeah, set affirmations and goals, and maybe a vow for yourself. And I'm showing on the screen here the hero's journey, but this is you can look up this graphic, but Jordan Peterson talks about this too. But yeah, start treading that journey.
Yeah.
um
What? So you're basically saying define your journey. Put a goal or destination, or you said a vow. But I think if you're gonna start in the beginning, I think a goal would be a good. So what do you want? I mean, I personally do want, again, to create these cities and societies and economies and right, yeah, I have other business systems that I'm business management, just city management systems that I'm trying to detail out. But the overall arching theme is always to create societies that are more conducive to become to spirituality, to well-being, to like you said, holistic societies. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. So what is you who are listening, what is your goal? What do you want to do in this life and potentially the other lives? Um, it can be whatever you want. Like if you want to be the best damn cook, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I'm pretty sure many things will follow you if you actually start to go into that. Like remember that don't be vain, man. Don't go for fame. Don't go for things that are temporary. Go for things that you can that excel time. Like a master chef can still be talked about 800 years later, kind of thing. So what is the thing that you would be able to take beyond this realm, or not take beyond this realm? Just what imprint do you want to leave? What piece of the puzzle do you want to be? I see life as a puzzle many times, and yeah, what piece of the puzzle do you want to be? How do you want to fit? How do you want to fit into this universe? Because again, you are not the master of this universe. You are not God. And if you are, well, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. But most part, most likely, you're not. So yeah, what piece of the puzzle do you want to be? And we'll leave it at that. Peace.